The Tory party is currently in its conference, and it's quite split on tax cuts. Obviously, I've read into your theory about with the Laffer Curve, and lots of allies of the former Prime Minister Liz Truss would like us to cut taxes, particularly corporation tax and a few others. But others are saying not to do that because it risks destabilising the economy. Do you think that Truss's allies are right to call for tax cuts at this time, given some economic problems we're facing?
Yes, I think they're completely right. Kwasi Kwarteng is the right person to go to if you want a tax expert, much more than Liz Truss. You'd like to go to Kwasi and look at his work. But there used to be a section of the Chancellor of the Exchequer's document, the Exchequer itself, that had the Laffer section. And when you look at what Gordon Brown did when he raised the highest marginal income tax rate from 40p to 50p, Britain actually went into a deep downturn, and you also lost a lot of revenues. Then when the next prime minister came in, they dropped it from 50p to 45p, as you know, and the revenues came back part way. But I think you need to really do a very major cut in the highest marginal income tax rates if you want to survive. Now, let me just say, if I can, Jack, just very simply, if you have two locations, A and B, if you raise taxes in B and you lower them in A, workers and producers and jobs and people are going to move from.
Yeah.
Am I going way over your head on this one?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And then why do you think Britain is in such trouble? Britain is in trouble because you've made your country absolutely non-competitive, and you're going to get nailed by it badly. And the nicest thing about Thatcher, and I'm going to exaggerate a little bit, you know, I worked with her very closely for all of her years in the prime minister. I was the only American on a staff level that did. She used to stay at my house with Sir Dennis in California. But if you look at Thatcher, she dropped the highest marginal income tax rate from 98p. Now, I'm exaggerating because that was just the very highest of the highest of the highest, but down to 40p. You had a great economy. You had everything worked really well. Frankly, it's what you need to get back to, if not even further. You are non-competitive in many ways in Britain, and you also have all sorts of other problems besides just taxes, as you know. And you remember when Thatcher had all those strikes and everything like that. Remember, what was, I forget the ad was that done by Saatchi, and Saatchi was the labor government is not working, and it had the long unemployment line. You remember that? You don't want to be in that situation, but you are. You find yourself having a conservative government that's not conservative. You're going to lose to a labor government that is labor, and you're going to have real problems long term. And why do you want to put yourself through that? I mean, you really think it's what is good for your country is to have high unemployment, high inflation, a weak currency? I understand they're really considering, Jack, now renaming your currency the ounce. Just joke. Any more questions you want to ask? You just asked Kwasi Kwarteng, your former Chancellor of the Exchequer designate, what you should do, and he knows the answers to this beautifully. Fine man. More English than even the English are native. I mean, he's just amazing. You should use him extensively on how to figure out how to solve the problems of Britain.
Well, he's on GB News quite a lot, so he is very much a vocal commentator here. Just to follow up on that, then, do you think that Britain was wrong to, after the mini budget of last September, to axe Kwarteng so quickly, and that they should have allowed them tax cutting policies to have been implemented, at least tried anyway?
Well, they're not trying. There's a phrase in California that should be appropriate here, excuse me, but duh. I mean, of course you should have. It's stupid what you did. And you're not. Now, I'm not saying that Liz Truss behaved in the perfectly proper way there, but Rishi isn't even close to Kwasi. Kwasi is so much more of the case. And Rishi is a very nice man. He knows my family well. And he's a very pleasant, wonderful guy, but he's not doing a good job on the economics of Britain. And it's too bad. He's a very good personally on economics. I mean, he's made a fortune on his own. He's done really, really well. Just the dream of what a British worker should be able to do in life. And he has done, but he doesn't know how to run a government. And that's the problem. He's pandering to all the other stuff out there. And, your first and foremost obligation is to the British people. And you should do the best you possibly can, and you're not doing that.
And I guess, and then after this, I will promise I'll go back to America. It's just one last question on the British.
You don't have to get back to America. We're going to do just fine here.
It's kind of the obviously we voted to have left the EU, and that gave us some opportunity on corporation tax anyway to hit below 15%, which obviously Ireland does very well at putting theirs around that threshold. Do you think that with some complications that Brexit has also brung, but do you think that we are really failing to make the most of it when we were given tax cutting opportunities from VAT to corporation tax?
Of course. I mean, when you look at Ireland, I mean, I was very involved with the tax cuts in Ireland, as you may remember. They got that down to 12.5%, I think it is now. They had to raise the personal income tax rates back up after the problem there with the euro and the punt. But once they did that, I mean, they lost that benefit, but they've kept the corporate tax rate low. And Ireland has performed extraordinarily well with a low tax rate. In fact, do you know why everyone is investing in Ireland?
No, I imagine it's tax.
Because the capital is always Dublin.
Yeah.
You get my jokes. That's good. Yes, you should be doing just what Ireland is doing and just the opposite of what Scotland is doing. It's just the opposite. You should be a pro-growth, free market, economic development agenda in your country. Britain deserves much better than it's getting. And the workers of Britain deserve much more. Do not be afraid of rich people. Rich people are wonderful. The dream in Britain should be not to make the rich poor. The dream should be how to make the poor rich. It should be to lift the bottom, not to pull down the top. And Britain is such a wonderful example of a country with so many successful entrepreneurs and developers and creators and scientists and all of that. They need to have those incentives on the very highest levels to create those enormously successful people so that they can build your country out and up all the way with their developments. I mean, that's not too much to ask, is it?